We can't talk about
You can't talk about it. But
there's more funner things to talk about.
But it wasn't about a relationship. You weren't in a relationship with the guy. Oh, I see. Now, how come you tweeted the other day that you're pregnant? Are you pregnant?
I didn't tweet that the other day.
Who did? It was under your tweet. You were going and saying you were pregnant.
No, that wasn't the other day. That was probably back in January or so.
Oh, were you pregnant?
Yeah.
And you had what? You had a miscarriage?
Yes.
No kidding.
I don't like to talk about... people like to say that I'm lying, blah, blah, blah. There's certain personal things I don't like to talk about. For instance, like the domestic violence case.
Right.
I put a lot of myself out there, but when it's something painful to me or sacred, I don't like to talk about it because people are disrespectful. To
be on reality TV, though, don't you sort of have to open up your whole life in order to be... Isn't there a pressure to be interesting?
That's different. When you're pregnant and you lose your child... That's a whole nother story. I'm not going to go and announce and say, oh, hey, everyone, I just...
had a miscarriage.
Miscarriage, yay. No, I'm not. Because, first of all, they'll just mock and say, oh, bitch, you were lying anyway, blah, blah, blah. So it's like, you know what?
Do you want a kid at this point, though? I mean, you seem to be having like a whole party fun lifestyle. What do you need a kid for?
This is why I've changed so much.
Right.
Because after that, believe it or not, I was so devastated that I got artificially inseminated.
No kidding.
Yes, I did.
This was after the death of your fiance. You went and got artificially inseminated.
Yes, the reason why I tried very hard was because I had made a promise to her.
That you would have a baby with her?
When when she was alive, yes.
Yeah.
That she wanted me to be the pregnant one. When we would joke about it, I'm like, oh, really? So you're never going to be pregnant? She's like, no, I'll adopt many with our 7 children, but you're going to carry the baby. I said... all right, fine.
You were going to get married to a woman, right?
We were engaged, yes.
You were engaged. You were going to do the whole marriage thing.
We were about to get married. Yes, that was...
And the plan was for you to have the baby.
Right.
And your devastation of losing your fiancé, you went ahead and you got artificially inseminated.
This was my promise to her. That was the only reason. Because I was so devastated. I was really depressed. And the world was like blaming me for her death. And
now, why do you get blamed for that? I never understood that.
I don't get it either. People just want to blame someone because I'm like, look.
Because they probably thought you were an enabler if she was into drugs.
Listen,
you know what I mean?
Where were her friends that she grew up with? You know what I mean?
Right.
They're saying that Paris and Nikki and whoever were her childhood best friends. Then where were they?
Paris and Nikki, were they ever around when you were dating her? So they weren't that good of friends.
No, they never. No.
So what did they hop on the bandwagon when she died so that they could?
She told me everything about her life. You know, when you're engaged to someone, you're intimate and you bond. And we'd cry together every night about stuff, very
personal
stuff.
Right.
And she told me a lot about her growing up and her family and everything. And we would cry together. And I said, you know what? It's okay now because we're going to have our own family.
Right.
We're going to have our own family and we're going to start our own empire. You don't need to have this thing dangling over your head and then we're going to start this lingerie line together. And she loved it and we had so many plans together. And
but did you feel she was out of control with drugs or anything like that?
She did have a lot of prescription medication. I don't know what they were. But I would ask her, like, what is this? But she wouldn't tell me, and sometimes we get in really bad fights about that because when I first met her, she was really a train wreck. Okay?
Right.
I'm not going to lie. But after a while, like I said, I'm very sensual. I will put you under my wing, and I will heal you with my love. And I know that the reason why she was out of control is because she didn't have a foundation of love, and that's what I provided her. I provided her with love, and she
started straightening out.
And then slowly she stopped taking the pills as long as I was sleeping next to her. When she sleeps next to me and cuddles with me, then she sleeps really well. And I remember it was so strange because one night we stayed up fighting all night about her, and because she was like, she gets upset when I don't, because I tell her, when I'm working, we have this thing called I miss you time.
Right.
So when I'm working and you see me on the computer, I say, okay, wifey, it's I miss you time, so we can kind of miss each other and whatever. And then she'll come back out and be like, I just drank 2 bottles of NyQuil. And I said, are you fucking crazy? I would get, I'd be so mad at her, and then she'd be so upset because
maybe she was addicted to you.
She was addicted to the love. She was scared of losing me.
Right.
And I said to her, I sat her down, I said, look, we are engaged. I am not going to ever leave you. Why would I be engaged to marry you if I was going to leave you? I'm going to work this out with you, but you got to straighten up and you got to stop feeling insecure that I will leave you. Because every time we fight, you get upset, you start packing your shit, running in and out, and you come back, and it's like you do that every single time. You can't do that. I'm not like one of your exes that used you. Your exes used you when you had the money.
So you're saying you were a good influence on her, and then all of a sudden, after she dies, everyone starts blaming you that you're the bad influence, and Paris Hilton and all of them are going, oh, we were her good friends.
Right, and you know that video where they came and took everything out of my house when they had no rights.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I think Nikki was in that.
Nikki was there, looking like a little bitch.
Why did they feel they had the right to go into your house? Because they were friends with her?
You know what? You know what was disgusting? Nobody knew. They acted as though I didn't want them to come, but the night before, they were all calling me and, like, being really nice, and they were like, oh, the family would like to come visit you, and tomorrow, I'm like, oh, that would be so great, you know, and because they said that they wanted to see how she lived last, and blah, 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 and how she spent her time, and I said, that would be amazing, you know, I would love to tell them more about her, since they didn't know her
at the end,
Yeah. And they wanted the dogs, and so they came, and I gave them the dogs, and there was like poop everywhere. There was like piss on the bed, and then Nikki and Bijou Phillips were like on the phone with her mother or her sister or whoever, and I can hear them talking like, yeah, the dogs are fine, blah blah. And I was sitting there scrubbing and cleaning the dog poop like I always do, and then they're like, well, they seem fine here, so why don't we just leave them here for tonight? Because, of course, they don't want to take care of the dogs and the dog poop, because, you know what I mean?
Right.
So I'm like, okay, that's fine. And then as they're packing stuff, I was helping them pack, and there's so much stuff, and I said, you know what, why don't you guys just come back tomorrow? And she, you know, and the first thing Nikki Hilton says when she went into the room to pack Casey's shoes, and I'm sitting here, like, devastated. This is my wife. Like, we lived together. This was my home. Like, and the first thing Nikki Hilton says as she's packing Casey's shoes, she's like, oh my God, Casey, you have such cute shoes. And this was that night.
Worried more about the shoes than you or anything like that.
Yeah. She didn't even realize she had said that, you know what I mean? Like, she caught herself saying that. And I was so disgusted that I just was like, oh, okay, I gotta go. Because I'm going to pretend I didn't hear that.
Yeah.
So,
did it weird you out that you couldn't even go to the funeral or anything?
It broke my heart.
Yeah.
It really broke my heart.
Why did the family dislike you so much? They didn't even know you.
Because she chose me over them. And at the end of the day...
I think they thought you were like a bad influence on her.
No.
No.
Because at the end of the day, they knew that she told me everything about them. And her father hadn't seen her for 5 years, and she told me that she would call him and write him every single day, like, Daddy, I'm sorry, I miss you, like, you know. And her mother took her daughter, and all she wanted was her daughter back, and she would cry to me, and I was like, it's okay, you know, we're gonna get her back, and we're gonna start our own family together. And
so she probably felt abandoned by